What's up everybody, I'm Seth Fowler and today I'm doing a review and comparison on the Adidas Yeezy Boost 350 V2 Static Reflective. The day after Christmas, I was doing a live stream on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Seth Fowler. There'll be a link in the description below if you want to check it out. Ben, hey, stop licking the wall, dude. I spilled coffee on the wall earlier today, so that's, don't ask how. And somehow, I don't know if it was live stream luck or whatever it was, but I was able to grab a pair for retail on Yeezy Supply, which wasn't that easy. But Yeezy Supply being Yeezy Supply, you pay $20 for 2-week shipping, so I just got my pair in yesterday. And of course, now that I've got the sneaker in hand, finally, it's time to review this sneaker, and I figured it'd be kind of cool to actually compare it to the very similar Yeezy 350 V2 Static. Until I actually got these sneakers in hand, I was kind of hard-pressed to actually find the differences in pictures. But now that I've finally got them in hand, I can actually spot the differences, but I've got to be honest, they're pretty minimal. Just to give you guys some background on this shoe, if you didn't already know, this is the Yeezy Boost 350 V2 Static Reflective. It released with 2 other Yeezy sneakers in the week after Christmas, and they're all part of the Static pack. You have the Static Reflective, which released first exclusively on Yeezy Supply on December 26th, although it didn't really ship for like 2 weeks, so people are just starting to get their pairs in now. The Static Reflective was the most limited of the 3, and when it first dropped, it was going for between $1,200 and $1,000. Now that people are actually getting this pair in hand, though, resale prices are dropping down to about $400. So if you were planning to pay your rent with this sneaker, kind of like I was, you're out of luck. The next shoe to drop on December 27th was the regular Yeezy Boost 350 V2 Static. The main difference between this pair and the reflective pair, as you can probably already tell by the name, is that this pair didn't have too many reflective elements. But I'll get into more details later on in the video. The regular Static version was a lot less limited. I don't actually know the production numbers on the shoe, but I'm sure they were high because it really wasn't hard to grab this pair of sneakers. And then finally, dropping on December 29th, we had the Yeezy Boost 700 V2, also in the Static colorway. It was by far the most Yeezy-filled release week we'd ever had, but I wasn't complaining because the colorways were all pretty solid, even though they were all pretty similar. So why don't I stop wasting your time and we'll jump into the actual part of the video that you guys are here for, the review of the Yeezy 350 V2 Static Reflective. Jumping into the upper itself, we have what looks like your standard Yeezy Boost 350 V2 Prime Knit. However, as the name would suggest, the entire upper of the sneaker is woven with 3M threads. Unlike the standard Static, which just uses sort of a dark gray thread to contrast the upper. Probably the biggest difference between these two sneakers, at least in daylight, is that the reflective looks a lot lighter than the Static. And that's just because the gray 3M thread that they used on the reflective is a lighter shade of gray than the thread used on the Static. But even with that, the difference is negligible and they look very, very similar in hand. Also, from what I can tell, the actual linear patterns used on the upper of both sneakers are exactly the same and placed in the exact same place. So the only actual way to see a major visual difference between these two sneakers is to turn the lights off and take a picture with the flash. Obviously, the entire upper of the Static Reflective lights up when you hit it with the flash or hit it with just the right light, and I think it's a pretty cool look overall, but the only time you're really gonna see it is if you're walking down the street at night, if someone takes a picture of your shoes in the dark, or maybe you go to a club. In my own personal opinion, I think I prefer the look of the non-reflective Static a little bit better because I like the way this darker gray really contrasts the upper. Obviously, if I'm going out at night, I'm gonna pick the reflectives because they have that little bit extra oomph to them. But I gotta be honest, when are you really gonna see it? Even though the standard non-reflective Statics don't have 3M woven into the upper, they do actually have some 3M in the laces, so if you really want those 3M hits, you still got some on this pair. Continuing up on the shoe, you've still got that signature Yeezy stitching running down the center of the shoe, this time around in white. As I mentioned, both Static 350 V2s come with 3M laces, and then moving inside the sneaker, you've got this white sock liner with the 3M Adidas stripes on the heel. The inside of the shoe is identical to the Static Yeezy 350s. You've got this white insole with the Adidas and Yeezy branding printed on the heel in black, and just like the regular Static pair, this pair fits a half size small. I usually like to go true to size and then just take out the insole of the shoe because I find it a little bit more comfortable, but for you, if you plan to leave the insole in, go a half size up, or if you don't mind taking out the insole, you can go true to size. Continuing back on the sneaker, you've got the same clear plastic mesh stripe running down the center of the shoe. As with the other pair, you can kind of have some fun with how you style this sneaker because of that clear stripe. The color or pattern of your socks will show through this clear stripe, so say you're wearing a red shirt and you want to match it to your shoes, just throw on a pair of red socks and you're good to go. Also, a kind of interesting piece of information is that Yeezy Supply is actually selling socks that say SPLY 350 on them, so when you wear them with this shoe, it kind of looks like standard Yeezys. I thought that was actually kind of a funny thing to do. I won't be buying them because they're too expensive, but still kind of funny. Another very small, barely noticeable difference between these two shoes is that the color of the underlays that you can see through the clear stripe is a slightly different shade on both shoes. On the Static Reflectives, it's sort of a cream or yellowish white, and on the regular Statics, it's more of a true white. Moving around to the heel of the sneaker, the backs of both shoes are pretty much exactly the same, other than the slightly darker color of the prime knit, that is. Then moving down on the sneaker, you get to your semi-translucent cream-colored midsole that's filled with full-length Boost. And if you were wondering, it's the exact same color as the standard Static, except I've worn my Statics a lot and it's sort of started to yellow. The bottom of the sneaker is pretty much the exact same thing. You've got your cream-colored outsole with your cut-throughs to the Boost. And then, as I mentioned on my Static review, the portion of the heel where the outsole wraps up onto the midsole is the same color rubber as the rest of the midsole, so it doesn't look out of place. Overall, these shoes are very, very similar. Yes, one has 3M, but I think it's arguable that you won't even see the 3M that much, and I actually prefer the look of the regular Statics because I like the contrast on the upper. In my opinion, the only reason that you'd want to go for the Reflectives over the Statics for the extra 100 or 150 bucks is if you're a completionist Yeezy collector and you want to have every single pair, or you just have a thing for 3M. So that pretty much wraps up my review for today. Now I would love to know your thoughts on the Static Reflectives and whether you think they're worth the extra money over just the standard Statics, so make sure to leave those comments in the comment section down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe down below if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.